Welcome back to The Grind. In this video, I wanted to make a brief breakdown about the featured hero crystals and when you might want to invest in the featured crystal and what players might start to switch over to the featured crystals and at what point. Now, before I get into it, there really is no definitive answer as to whether or not you individually should go for the featured or not. There is a risk involved regardless of what the featured pool is, and every player's roster is so different, and the roster is what really is going to determine the odds of you getting a champion that will be better from the featured hero crystal compared to getting more champions from the basic hero crystal. Now, in general, the rule of thumb is just open the basic hero crystals because you'll have more opportunities, you'll get more dupes, you'll get more ISO and shards as a result of that. And when you're growing your account, for most players, going for the basic crystal is going to be better off for your account. Now, if you look at the basic pool and say, roughly 50% of the champions are reasonable champions that you would want to pull, then in order to get equal odds from the featured hero crystal, you need 3 out of 4 champions in the featured crystal to be the equal value of that, 50% or better. And most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, it's about a 50-50 split, which is, again, for most players, you're going to look at the basic pool and say about half of them are pretty decent. Now, if you are a little bit more picky and you say, hey, I only consider 25% of the basic pool to be valuable, meaning that when you look at the basic champion pool, you only want 1 out of 4 champions in that pool, then the featured hero crystal, you need to have a win rate of 50%, meaning that the champions that you are looking for from that 25% of the basic pool are actually in the featured pool with a 50% predominance for it actually to be beneficial. And this is how it gets so complicated for the majority of players, because everyone's roster is so different that the basic pool for some people might still have a ton of amazing champions that they want to pull from it and still have like 50% or 30% that they want to get from the basic pool. Whereas you look at the featured hero crystal, half of the champions that would be a win from the featured hero crystal are also going to be a win from the basic pool, but then you have 50% of the other ones you don't need. And so your rate is going to be different depending on the champions you already have or the champions that you are hunting. Now, with the addition of the 5-star dual class crystals, this has become a very nice way to target the champions that you're looking for as a 5-star. But unfortunately, we don't have that for 6-star champions. So this talk or this video is more focused on the 6-star champion roster because that is the future and that is what everybody struggles to decide what to do or with their shards, because the 6 stars are the sought after heroes and the ones that are more limited. Now, people have a majority of the 5-star champions, so they can go for the featured to get the brand new champions. But the 6-star, most players aren't in that situation. So you really have to look at it as what champions would be a win for you and your roster. And what I would say is it depends on your level of, how much of a significant win it is. If there are 75%, 3 out of 4 champions that you would say, man, any of those would make a big difference on my account. At that point, if you've already got a decent roster and, if you use your 6 stars in arena and you've got enough to really get what you want to get out of it, then I would say 3 out of 4, those odds are good and worth the risk of about an extra 50% cost for your hero, for your champion. But if it's not that good, then it's going to be hard to sell for a newer player especially. However, if you look at it and say, man, this crystal, 50% of them are God tier or beyond God tier, meaning that it's going to, no matter which one of them it is, it's definitely going to make an impact on your account, a massive impact on your account, half of them, then it's a little bit more worth talking about. but it's very rare to see a crystal like that. We've had one recently, and I actually opened 3 or 4 of them, and none of them were the champions that I was looking for. So it is a risk that you're going to have to decide if you want to take. And after that, I decided I'm going to stick to the basics unless literally there are like 75 to 80% straight banger champions in the featured crystal, which is going to be quite rare. But let's take a look at this featured crystal, for example. Jabari Panther, arguably one of the champions that most people would be happy to get, but you know, some players aren't super happy with him. Mcoc, kind of a miss. Mr. Negative, a difficult champion to play. Maybe the reward isn't quite worth it, but we'll say, sure, that's kind of a win. Odin, I would call a win. Shang-Chi, I would call a win. Silver Centurion, I would probably call a win as well. Black Widow, Angela, probably a win. Black Panther, most people don't really feel like he's worth it. And a little bit too much for what you're getting out of it, a little too much effort. Captain Marvel movie, yeah, definitely a win. Civil Warrior, Deadpool is for this purpose, but also has good synergies. Ebony Maw, no. Hulk, no. Joe Fixit, no. Mr. Fantastic, actually pretty decent now. Mr. Sinister, no. Mojo, for most people, no. Nova, no. Sabretooth, no. Sentinel is okay, a reasonable win for a good solid tech champion with immunities. Sorcerer Supreme is a win. And then for the most part, for most people, Storm Pyramid X and Vulture are considered Now, if you got them, you can probably get some use out of them for sure. But that's over half of the champions in here that are kind of And if you feel the same way about that, about the champions that I do, then I would say don't get this crystal. But if you are like, hey, half of the ones you said to are actually ones that I would like to have, then that brings you up to about 75% win rate. And at that point, it is worth the investment. If you can convince yourself that you would be happy with about 75% of the champions, then the odds are about the same that you will land a champion you are happy with. Now, if you are happy with 75% of the champions in the featured crystal, most likely you're going to be happy with more than 50% of the champions in the basic hero crystal. And at that point, the actual numbers work out differently. Because if you're happy with 70% of the basic hero crystals, then you're really going to need to be closer to 85-90% win rate from a featured to make the value of this crystal worth it because of such the high cost increase that you must take. So in summary, most players are going to benefit more from basic crystals to help expand their roster, but those who have most or a lot of the basic champions or a majority of the good ones that they're targeting, then it becomes more enticing to go for the 6-star featured crystal because it has more of the new champions or more of the reworked champions that you might not have. And at that point, it becomes different because, like I said, you might only want 25% of the basic champions in the basic pool. And then at that point, a 50% win rate from the featured, that is definitely worth your time. So this is a bit of a complex topic, a bit of a difficult question to answer. Again, every player and every account is different, but I hope that this was somewhat of a general guide to help you make your decision a little bit easier. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck, and I hope to see you in the next video.